Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be telling you guys all about the classes that I take as a fashion student. If you guys are new here, my name is Karina and I'm studying fashion design at Parsons, the new school in New York City. I am in the second semester of my third year. I just started the spring semester, but I'm going to talk about my classes starting at the beginning of my first year. A little disclaimer, this video is going to be about my personal experiences only because that's all I can speak to, and I just really want to give you guys a better idea of what to expect if you're thinking about enrolling in fashion school and the classes that you might have to take. First, I will show you guys the curriculum for all 4 years. First, I will show you guys the overall curriculum for fashion design as stated on the Parsons website. I'm going to put it right here. This is the course outline of the minimum of what each BFA student has to complete in order to graduate and get their degree. The fashion curriculum is very specific, so if you're currently studying somewhere else and thinking about transferring over, your credits might not transfer over and you'll still have to take like majority of these classes. Okay, so I'm going to start off by talking about the first year classes. Everybody, regardless of what major you are, takes the same classes during their first year at Parsons. It's called the foundation year. Like many colleges, we don't dive into our major during the first year, but rather we take sort of like a more general load of courses in order to explore more areas and just really make sure that the major we got admitted into the school with is what we want to stick with for the rest of our college journey. This was the only year where I had people from all majors in all of my classes, so it was a really nice opportunity to get to know people studying different things than me. So the very first semester, the fall semester, we had Integrated Studio 1 and Integrated Seminar 1. These classes are connected. Seminar is where we did readings and writings and conducted research to kind of start our ideation process and come up with concepts. And then in studio is where we took those ideas and sort of realized them. Integrated studio was where we would do the creating of our projects, whereas seminar was more about the thinking behind those projects. For example, if I remember correctly, we did a reading in seminar about objects and tributes, and then in studio, we got paired with one other person and we chatted and conducted interviews with each other. We asked each other about meaningful objects in each other's lives, and then we would create a tribute to that person. I don't remember all the little details, but if you guys do want to know more in depth about the projects that I did during my first year, you can check out this video right here. So next up is Sustainable Systems. Basically, it's a sustainability class where we learn how to be responsible designers and about the impact of our work on the environment. I remember we made bioplastic and learned about kombucha leather and mycelium and just other materials that are biodegradable. I honestly don't think this class was as serious as its course description, and I was kind of disappointed. I feel like we were learning about how to do the bare minimum in order to appear eco-friendly, and we weren't really pushed like super hard into considering what it meant to be like a truly responsible and sustainable designer. But I mean, it's a first year course, so it is a nice intro course. Space and Materiality is a class about learning techniques in physical construction. I think this is a course that's geared more towards architecture and product design majors. I have to say that for all of these classes, what you learn depends so heavily on who you get as a professor and what they specialize in. I just remember talking to my peers about their classes and realizing that every single class does something a little bit different, and yeah, sometimes it's like very different. So it really depends on your professor and what they know and what they choose to teach you. So for my class, we made sculptures with wire and paper and popsicle sticks and experimented with joining materials that weren't glue or tape. This class was quite fun. Me personally, I'm more drawn to the more hands-on and 3D classes, so I did enjoy this one. But I do remember that it was a little bit difficult to do because our professor would ask us to drill holes in wood and like cut wood pieces, and I just remember sitting at home thinking, like, with what tools? Like, how am I supposed to cut a piece of wood at home? Okay, drawing and imaging. This class is exactly what it sounds like. It's a drawing class where we learn different techniques utilizing various mediums like charcoal, acrylic paint, and also Photoshop. We would have a demonstration and then an assignment based on what we learned that day to complete on our own. And then we would post our work to Canvas and have a public discussion critique session. Surprisingly, this class was probably my favorite just because of my professor. He was amazing and just made the class a really great experience. So these classes were for the fall semester of my first year, and for all of these classes, I did not need any textbooks. Any texts that we needed to read were provided to us through Canvas, whether it be articles or short excerpts from books or essay writings. You will need basic art supplies like a large sketchbook, charcoals, acrylic and gouache, paintbrushes, and then most importantly is probably a computer or a laptop that can handle running Adobe software like Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, etc. Moving on to the spring semester of the first year, we have seminar and studio once again, which is basically a continuation of the fall. We always have a design class and a studio class every semester. And then moving on from sustainable systems, drawing and imaging, and space and materiality, we now have time and objects of history. Time class is a 4D class where you're introduced to video editing softwares like Premiere Pro and work on video and film projects. Personally, I'm not super sure what this class is all about because my professor taught it a little bit differently, so I'm just going to put the course description up here and yeah, you guys can try and deduce it. And then objects of history, this is a history class focused on fashion objects. This is a pretty typical history class. We would have a presentation and lecture and then have reading and writing assignments and research papers. Okay, so I tried to dig up my final fashion research paper from this class, but I'm not seeing it. I have no idea where it went. By the way, you guys can see that we have elective spots for each semester. Usually we can take up to 2 electives per semester, and I'm going to show you guys all the electives that I've taken from the first year up until now. I'm not really going to go in depth or talk about them though because I kind of want to just keep this video more focused on just the main core classes. So here are all the elective courses that I've taken. We have 2 types of electives, the program electives and then liberal arts. You can see I've completed all my program electives, and this semester I'm working towards fulfilling all my liberal arts electives. And then for my liberal arts electives, you can see here that I've already had 8 credits given to me before I've even started, because I took AB classes in high school and I passed the test, so those credits transferred over and were able to fulfill some of my liberal arts requirements. I actually didn't even know I had these credits until I checked very recently. So I feel like this is one of the areas that you can get credits transferred in from like high school or maybe another college. Okay, moving on to year 2. This is the year that we started getting into fashion designing. I now have 3 core classes: Design Studio 1, Visual Communication Studio 1, and then Creative Technical Studio 1. These classes are all connected with each other, just like how Studio and Seminar were in the first year. So the projects that we work on, they span through all 3 of the classes. Design Studio, as the name suggests, is where we design our collections. Here we come up with our ideas and concepts, and we do sketches and brainstorming and mood boards and think about materials and all that. Usually during class, we will meet one-on-one with our professor to receive individual feedback about the process that we're making towards the development of our collection. I've also had design studio classes where we would present to the whole class every week and just receive feedback from our peers as well as the professor. So it really just depends on the professor and how they choose to conduct the class. CTS is our construction class. It's our sewing class where our sketches come to life. We had a shirt project, a jacket project, a pant project, a knit project, a group look project, and I feel like there might be one more that I'm blanking on right now. If there is, I'll put it on the screen, but I just can't remember right now. Our very first sewing project was a shirt project, just a basic button-up blouse shirt. In class, the professor demonstrates all the steps, taking measurements, drafting patterns, cutting your fabric, choosing your fabric, and then sewing it all together in the correct order and the techniques that you need to know in order to complete the garment. So we would watch our professor's demonstration and then follow along with our own sample using muslin. And then after that, we would make a completely new designed one on our own. All the projects basically followed this format, so we would make a prototype and then our own design. VCS is for sketching and learning more technical skills in drawing and also utilizing technology. We would do model drawings and have models come into our room. We learned how to make booklets and presentations on InDesign. We learned how to make technical flats and things like zippers, buttons, top stitching. This was done in Illustrator, and then we also learned how to apply prints and graphics on Photoshop. And then for the second year, for our seminar classes, we have History of Fashion and Intro to Fashion Studies. So you would take one in the fall and then the other in the spring. History of Fashion, pretty self-explanatory. It's a history class about fashion. In the first year, our objects of history, we learned up until the 19th century. And then in History of Fashion, we went from the 19th century up until the 20th century. I did purchase this book for the class. I'm not 100% if it was for History of Fashion or if it was for Intro to Fashion Studies. But either way, this was the only textbook that I've purchased. And I think it was like $25 or something. And then for our Intro to Fashion Studies class, I'm just going to put the course description here for you guys because this is going to be easier than me trying to explain to you guys what it's all about. And then because both these classes are lecture classes, there would also be a recitation section or a discussion part that was linked to the lecture classes. So it's basically 2 classes. Okay, moving on to year 3, the year that I am currently at. Oh, I also forgot to mention that for Parsons, there are 4 pathways for fashion students to choose from. So the focus will be a little bit different for each student depending on the pathway that they choose to go in for their classes. We get to pick a pathway starting the spring of our second year. So the first pathway that I picked was materiality, and I did a lot of material explorations. I was also taking a textiles elective course during that semester, so a lot of what I did in that class I experimented with for my design classes. Okay, back to the third year. For the first semester of my third year, I chose the fashion product pathway, and I decided to continue with that pathway this semester again. Fashion product is basically anything that is not clothing, so it's accessories like handbags, shoes, jewelry, hats, gloves, scarves, glasses, etc. In our third year, we switched back to only having 2 core classes. We have Design Studio 3 and then Specialized Studio 1. Specialized Studio is basically a combination of CTS and VCS. So Specialized Studio is our studio class, it's our making class, and then a little bit of technology stuff combined into there. You guys might know we've been learning Clo, which is a 3D fashion software. Okay, I had to turn my lamp on because it was getting dark. Basically, Design Studio is where I keep my sketchbook and I do sketches and research about my ideas. It's also where our professors kind of help us edit down our sketches for the things that we want to make in Specialized Studio. I like to think of Design Studio as a class where we do all the planning and research and ideation, and then in Specialized Studio it's just the technical skills, pattern making, sewing, gluing, just all the construction stuff. Sometimes we will also go to see special exhibitions or visit museums to gather inspiration together as a class. So for the third year, we only have 2 core classes, and then we have to take a university lecture class. There's a lot of topics for the ULEX, so it's really easy to pick something that's interesting. Last semester, I took a course called Post-Human Nuclear Experience, and we basically learned about what the world might be like and the aftermath of a nuclear disaster, and it was a super fun, super chill class. We watched films and did like little presentations on what we watched. And then this semester, the ULEC I'm taking is Waste and Justice, which is a little bit more academically challenging, but it is a topic that I'm really interested in, so yeah. And then something new for this spring semester is a class called Advanced Research Seminar Fashion. I've been told it's a class to prepare the juniors for thesis next year, and basically just kind of teaches you how to conduct advanced research into fashion topics and how to dissect and understand fashion readings and fashion theories and all that. And then once again, we have the elective spots open. So basically that is all that I can really tell you about the classes that a fashion student takes from my experience. For our final year, fashion students do a thesis all year long, and it's our graduating collection. So it's basically just a way more intense version of creating a collection like how we do in design studio and specialized studio classes. Alright, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about work-life balance and how to manage your time wisely and just make sure that you don't get too overwhelmed. I honestly don't know if I should even be talking about this because I feel like my plate is overflowing and I am not amazing with my time management skills. Especially this week, I am kind of all over the place right now. I did not sleep yesterday, but I basically just chugged an entire can of Celsius and worked through the night because I was so behind on my stuff. So maybe I can tell you guys about what not to do. Something that has been a very big help for me is having a system to keep me organized. Everybody's going to have a different system, and you kind of have to just try them all and find which one you like the best and which one works the best for you. You might schedule your days on Google Calendar or do time blocking or use Notion, or just even simple things like keeping a to-do list can be very helpful for staying organized and managing your time wisely. I will share with you guys what works for me personally. I use Google Calendar and I block my week out. I fill each week with the non-negotiables, so those are things like my classes and my internship. And then I make time blocks for things that I want to do every week so that I can keep a routine. It might be little errands like getting groceries or doing laundry. And then I also like to designate down time to do my homework for each class. That way every week when I come to look at my calendar, I can see what areas I might be free in. I might extend some of my time blocks if I have like a bigger research paper coming up. And then I can also create time for social events like grabbing lunch with a friend after one of my classes or having dinner with them after school. I know it looks really jumbled and messy, but everybody has their own system, and personally this is just what I like. It works for me. I definitely tried out a lot of productivity and time management methods before I found one that I was really comfortable with and felt worked for my life. And here's where today's sponsor comes in. I want to say a big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of classes focused across all fields of interest. I love that Skillshare has something for every mood that I'm in, whether I'm looking to improve my time management for school, or just stuck in an art rut and need some creative exercises. There is something for everybody in every season of life. Work is not a one-size-fits-all type of thing, and Skillshare teaches you how to design a career and lifestyle to fit you. There is no pressure because you are in control and can learn at your own pace and go step by step with the teachers. I am working towards keeping a consistent schedule every week so that the things that I need to complete just becomes second nature to me, and on Skillshare there is no goal that is too big or too small. I have been following Lisa Tselebidis' How to Use Time Blocking and Google Calendar to Schedule Out Your Week, and you guys can see how I've integrated her approach into the way I've designed my own calendar. I love that she talks about scheduling time for friends and family and self-care as a non-negotiable or the very first thing to add onto a calendar, because I often neglect that social part of my life and schedule it last. The first 1,000 people to use the link down below in my description can get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. You can explore different classes to help you stay more organized or to help you manage your time more wisely, and you can try out one method for a week and then try out another and just really explore and see which one suits you the best. I'll also link down below some of my favorite Skillshare classes, just ones that I feel really helped me out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and gave you guys a lot of information about the classes that a fashion student may take. Also, let me know if you guys are interested in me making a video about electives or, I don't know, other fashion school, fashion student related informational classes. Just put them down below. As always, much love, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!